H. Right double quotation mark. Me. Didn't you tell me your younger brother was addicted to H? Oh yeah? Wonder how that happened. Frick this crap, I'm out. Wonder how that happened. When you don't put any points in it. When we saw Fury in theater, she read the subtitles out loud. I'm not sure if she thought I couldn't read them or if she needed to sound them out, but I knew at that moment no follow-up was necessary. I arrived at her place and she told me to hop in her car as she just needed to drop something off at a friend's house real quick. It wasn't a friend. It was someone she had an appointment to sell those hot oil infusers and their millions of scented inserts to. I sat in a stranger's home for 90 minutes while they smelled them all. She wanted to go to dinner afterwards and I asked her to please drop me off at the car so I could go home. She had a business to run. Guess it didn't even make it a whole first date. When she said I'm so glad my fiancé is still deployed, noped out and left her with the bill for that dinner. There's a special circle in heck for those people. She forgot to take off her wedding ring at the second date. I went for a meal with this girl I met through a dating app and it was going really well. We started talking about movies and then we decided to go to the cinema to go watch Inception. She said there was a cinema nearby but I didn't know the area at all. So I used the GPS on my phone and she held it and directed me. Once we got there we started walking inside and I realized I didn't have my phone in my pocket. I said I must have left it in the car and started to walk back to get it. She was trying to get me to leave it and saying we would miss the film but the phone was only about a week old so I was really paranoid about it. We checked the car for about 10 minutes but we couldn't find it. I asked her to check her jacket and bag but she said it wasn't there. A couple parked next to us so I asked them to ring my number because I couldn't find it. It started to ring and it was obviously coming from my date's handbag. She took it out and said she must have missed it. I thanked the couple and locked my car and as I turned back around she was walking the other way. I ran to catch up and asked what was going on but she was very dismissive and was barely talking. That's when I realized it probably wasn't an accident and just left her to walk home alone. She asked if I had any love interests still in existence. When I said no she didn't believe me. She told me she wanted to travel the world and see old friends, who were guys, and thought that I, as a lawyer, should work and pay for her travels. She was insane. She also offered to frick in her car in the first 5 minutes of meeting. No second date for you.
Who wants to lose? Break out! Dribble move! High flying! Done! You can't stop him! This is season, baby! Get him while they're hot!
The ocean will sweep them away.
Teeth as black as the night. She didn't have any diseases or syndromes but simply no time to brush her teeth. For the record, her photos didn't show her teeth. I have a good friend who has to see teeth in a profile pic on a dating site or it's no go. Now I know why. If I ask you a question or try to talk, please reciprocate. I hate that I feel like I'm supposed to use up an arsenal of questions that will only get a brief response in return.
Okay.
Yes, when you feel like you're interrogating them because all they'll give you is yes or no. Met her at a hospital. I was in a patient for a hand wound. She was a phlebotomist. Asked her out to a movie and then dinner. Had a really excellent talk about comics and movies. We were getting to know each other and flirting. It was clearly a date. At the end when I told her I'd like to do it again she said her fiancé probably wouldn't be cool with it a second time. Claimed that she was seeing other guys just to use them for free drinks, their pool, their car was nice, etc. Noped out real quick. Nurse I met on Tinder. She told me she disliked all her patients and that sometimes she would simply ignore them for long periods of time. That's a no from me, dog. That's not only morally wrong, it's most likely illegal as well. 6 years ago, I went out with a girl who called me a racist because I don't like sushi.
What?
I mean, yay, I don't like Asian people but it's not because of their sushi.
I don't know.
She never asked a single question about me. So frustrating. This was 70% of my friendships in college. It was like I was the dorm therapist. 1. Suggested we go to the nicest steakhouse in town. 2. When I assumed we would go Dutch or pay for our own crap, she assumed I was paying because she's just old-fashioned. 3. Asked me what my debt-to-income ratio was. 4. Upon learning I had paid off my student loans, demanded that I paid her student loans if I wanted a second date. I drove us to the venue, but I just drove home by myself after paying the bill. Go frick yourself, Erin, you cheap bee. First and only date with a girl I barely knew through some friends. I drove to her house. She got in my car and smelled like she had just taken a massive crap but forgot to wipe. Went to dinner. I barely ate. Made an excuse to end early. Dropped her off and drove home with the windows down in the middle of winter. Pregnant, but no worries. The father is locked up.
Yes.
But pregnant chicks can't get
Let's
pregnant.
go.
This one girl told me she was giving me a chance because a mutual friend said I was nice. She was totally out of my league and we both knew it, but she insisted on acting like it was a favor to go out to dinner with me. If she's not actively happy about seeing me, I don't really want to see her either. I was 32, she was 25. She showed up to dinner high as a kite, dropped the word "see" several times loud enough for the people around us to hear. She then got loaded during dinner, ordered an expensive plate and barely touched it. She also told me I'm stupid for still buying books, and childish for listening to music. She also insisted I had to take her out 2-3 times a week, minimum. It was also implied she'd be moving in with me in the near future. She was unemployed and living at home, which honestly didn't bother me. The whole jumping into the deep end did. 20 minutes into the date I text my friend. Holy crap. Turns out she's awful. I love dinner with those kind of gold diggers. It usually come with great story to tell my friends and I take pleasure asking for separate bill. She didn't say anything. Like, there is being nervous and then there is that. We were taking a film class together in school and agreed to go see a movie together. 50/50. That counted for extra credit. It became clear a few days beforehand that this was turning into a full-on date and I just rolled with it. We were both single and I thought we could have a fun night out together. I asked if we could get dinner after the movie to talk about it and get to know each other better. She seemed excited by the idea and I was looking forward to the night. I picked her up and she was dead silent. She was dressed to the nines for a casual date and was clearly nervous. I did my best to break the ice and run the conversation, and the best I could get out of her was a nervous chuckle and a yep. After the movie I asked if she still wanted dinner and she said absolutely, and then proceeded to watch me eat dinner while she stared at me. When I dropped her off at home she told me she had a really nice time and hoped we could hang out outside of class again. I told her for sure, and we said goodnight. She flat out never said another word to me in class again. A year or so later I ran into her at a party and asked her what that whole deal was about. She confessed she was so goddamn anxious that she had no clue what to do or say. Apparently that was the first date she had ever been on with a guy. It's a shame too because in class we got along really well. I was just so put off by the silence that I didn't know how to approach her for the rest of the semester. Apparently she is a semi-professional golfer now. I haven't heard from her in years, but I hope she is doing well out there. She chewed her food with her mouth open. Always kills me. Let's play Simon Says. Simon Says chew with your freaking mouth closed. Went for a walk in the woods.
Yes,
she walked about 5 feet ahead of me the whole time. Would think maybe she was nervous walking alone in the woods with a guy she didn't know, but she's the one that suggested a walk. IDK, it was weird. She didn't even bring her wallet to the restaurant. I would have offered, and obviously ended up paying, but that level of presumptuousness was an immediate turn off. She showed up in a dirty white dress. Her hair looked like it had not been brushed in months. During dinner she told me that she still lived at home, never wanted to get a job and that she stole her dad's car while he was asleep to meet me at the restaurant.
Damn it.
Then when she found out that I was divorced she said you didn't work hard enough to save your marriage. I put down the chopsticks, went and paid and said nice meeting you and left. So, you're a mathematician? Is it true all mathematicians are virgins? Went out for coffee.
Yes!
She brought a bottle
Screw
of vodka
you!
and kept topping up her cup. I
I'm
politely
so
asked her what the
smart.
deal was, and she said she liked to party. When it was time to
Oh my
go, she fell
gosh,
over
I'm
and
so
started screaming
smart.
that